Good morning. Today, we're going to make a tourtière. This is a French-Canadian classic. It is one of my favorites to eat. My family goes bonkers for these things. So they can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. I'm going to make a couple pies, probably some mini ones too. Let's get going. Okay, tourtière come together really quickly because there are not a lot of ingredients. You need obviously ground pork, you're gonna need some potatoes, pie crust. You can buy your own pie crust, you can make your own. We're gonna make our own here today. What gives it that unmistakable flavor are these three spices. You're gonna need some ground cloves, allspice berries, and one whole nutmeg. First things first, let's make our pie dough. 2.5 cups of flour. 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, quick pulse, equal amounts of butter and lard. We're gonna have 75 grams lard and 75 grams of butter. Get that on, and we just wanna pulse this, turn that into kind of a grainy meal. This is what we want. We just want chunks in there. Really, really cold butter. You gotta start with really cold butter or this isn't gonna work. We're gonna turn this back on, and I've got my water and apple cider vinegar mix off to the side, and we're just gonna pour it in slowly until it forms the beginnings of a ball. Right around there, maybe a little more. Okay, now we're gonna kick that out onto a clean work surface. Before you get started, make sure you've got a bench knife or something to scrape up all the little bits with. Now, again, I love making my own pie dough. You don't have to do that. In the grocery store, picking up all the ingredients, and you see a nice big container or a box of frozen pie dough, grab it. Okay, so that's pretty much where we want it to be. So typically, we want to have just a little more than 1/3, like 2/5 and 3/5. We're going to cut it. So the left side is going to be for the bottom of the pie and the right side for the top. Cut it there. And this is such an easy step to add, like, because then you can form a disc to throw into the fridge. That's kind of there, and you don't have to reshape it. It makes shaping the pie so much easier. So we're going to wrap those, and they're going in the fridge. Okay, next up, we're gonna need 900 grams of pork, 350 grams of potato, 1 onion, 4 cloves of garlic. Let's go. Next up, you do want to cut this pretty finely. And we're going to saute these until they're really soft. And I don't want anyone to feel an onion in their mouth. By the way, Hexclad sent over these knives. And I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. Japanese Damascus steel. I'll put a link down below if you want to take a look at them. Really, really impressed. Really well balanced. Okay, so just roughly chop these. Doesn't be too fine. We're gonna saute the, forgot to put the little napkin underneath this thing, so it's sliding all over the place. We're gonna saute the onions first for the first 5 minutes, and then we're gonna add the garlic. Okay, now we're just gonna prep all the stuff that makes it taste great. So we need some fresh sage. You can use dried sage if you don't have access to fresh. It's fine. Again, I'm gonna be making a double batch, so you probably just need about this much. I'm just going to do a couple more. I love sage. Just going to roll it up, slice it into little ribbons. This is going to be braising in the meat for quite a while, so don't worry too much about the stems. Once again, I forgot to put the bloody cloth down. And just give it some big rough chops. That's it. Put it off to the side. You can strip the thyme if you feel like torturing yourself. I never do. Just tie a really strong square knot. You can just throw it right in and yank it out when it's done, and all of these will be stripped off of all of the thyme. So that's it. Let's pound out our allspice and cloves. All right, there we go. And as mentioned before, we're just going to take this whole ball of nutmeg and we're just going to grate it right into our ground pork. This is the key to my tortilla tasting so good. I boil potatoes in chicken and pork stock. The recipe typically calls for water. You keep the water because it's got all the potato starches in there, but why not way more flavor? So we're going to boil them in this stock. We're going to leave them in here until they're fork tender. Then we're going to pull them out to drain, and we're going to continue to reduce the chicken stock before we add it in with our ground pork. Not too much olive oil. There's a lot of fat in the pork. Okay, I've got this over a medium-high heat, and this is a good time to add some big grinds of black pepper. This is a really hearty dish. Really strong flavors. But don't be shy. Okay, so this is our chicken and pork stock. We're boiling our potatoes here. And again, we just want these fork tender. We're going to pull them out and cool them, and we're going to reduce this quite a bit. Okay, these have softened up exactly as much as I want them to. Time for the garlic. We're going to saute the garlic off for maybe 2 minutes, and then in goes the pork. Okay, you're ready to go. Now again, I'm doing sort of a 2.5 size batch, so you'll be using a lot less than this. Yeah, pretty much. Those are done. Now we're going to let that reduce by about 70%. Okay, I'm sure we have all seen people, especially on TikTok for some reason, when they're browning ground meat and it gets down to this part where there's liquid. I see people drain it. Are you out of your minds? Keep browning it. That is a ton of flavor. You are pouring flavors down the drain. All your onion, olive oil, salt and pepper. Like, never do that. Ever, 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 ever. Okay, so we checked our salt levels. Now we're just going to add in the allspice and cloves, and we're going to take our nutmeg and just grate that right into it. That should do it. Okay. Combine that. Again, keep scraping all that caramelization off of the bottom. Then just add in all your fresh sage. And now we're ready to add back in potato, chicken, and pork stock. We just want to use this little moment to scrape up everything on the bottom. We're going to add in our thyme. This has been braising for about 20 minutes or so, and liquid is largely gone. We're just going to remove the thyme, turn the heat back up a bit, speed up the process, and then we're going to add in our potatoes. It's really important to not put the potatoes in too soon. But when you pull back here, you want there to be a path left, and there isn't. Getting closer. Okay, that's it. Off the heat. This is important. So let's get into it. You can see the texture, okay? Most of that liquid has evaporated and been absorbed. This is when you add in the potatoes. If you add the potatoes in too soon, you will mess it up. Okay. Actually, I don't want that big. You really want to work this in. It's nice to have the odd little sort of chunky potato, but you kind of really want to blend it. All right, that's it. Now we go let it cool, get our dough prepped. Okay, we've got our 2 refrigerated balls of dough. This is for the top, this is for the bottom. We're gonna roll this out first. So just roll, quarter turn, just keep doing that. That should be fine. Just make sure you position it so it's got some overhang all the way around. So you want to take that right up to the edge. Not the most even circle, but it's right up to the edge, which is where we want it. Now we're going to roll out the top piece and put it on top. That should be fine. Okay, just make sure it's all the way around. So what we're going to do is we're going to pinch these together and then fold it under. Okay, so now just make a little crimp. You could use a fork too, if you didn't feel like that, and come down and make and seal it that way. It's a little more traditional to do it this way. So that's what we're going to do. And there we go. Now we're going to do the egg wash. Now we just make a few little holes. Okay, it's ready for the oven.